Welcome to this week's Ask Charlie. I am out in front of the chicken coop. This week is all about keeping hens. I have had a lot of requests from you guys for me to share how we look after our hens. I have done previous videos when we were at our old house, and I will link those in the description of this video for you to go and take a look. There's clipping wings and various other videos about hens that I filmed a number of years ago. But since we've moved here, this is how our hen setup is working. And we did have a little bit of a problem with our girls escaping and causing havoc in the flower beds, but we've actually had a little readjustment of the electric fencing, and so far, touch wood, there's a tree right here, it's working really well and they haven't been causing havoc in the garden. We let them out by invitation only, so for a couple of hours at the end of the day, and I'll be out here, I might be doing a bit of weeding and I can keep an eye on them, but if they have free range, they just scratch at all of the flower beds and cause havoc. So it is invitation only that they free range around the garden, and that is far better for the flower beds, because it's very difficult to keep a lovely garden with hens if they are running free, because they do love to dig, they do love to scratch, and they do love to cause havoc. Now, this is my morning routine with them, and also how I clean the coop out. I'm going to share that with you and then share what I do in the evening as well. This electric fence works brilliantly for us, and I will talk more about that later, and the benefits, the pros and cons. We have looked at various different options, but this works really well for us, and so that's what we do. Now I've got my gloves on. I'm going to clean out the coop. I've got my bucket and I'll just take all of their bedding out, have a good clean, and I do this once a week, and then on a daily basis I'll just brush off poop and what have you. But it's pretty low maintenance keeping hens, and I think, you know, just once a week a really good clean works brilliantly. Keeping an eye on them and making sure that they are healthy and well is really important. So they have a varied diet, layers pellets in the morning, which we will do. In fact, we'll do that now, and they can have their pellets while I'm cleaning out the coop. And then they have mixed corn, and then because we do let them out, do let them free range around certain areas of the garden under control as possible. You know, they're getting a varied diet, which is really important, because if you have happy hens, they will lay lots of lovely eggs for you. So I'm going to go and get some layers pellets and we'll feed them first. So these are their layers pellets. The company that we use for the pellets and for their mixed corn is Marriages, and I will leave them linked down below in the description of this video. I go to Mole country stores and I get their food along with the horses' food and various other bits and pieces from Mole's country store. I love that place. We're lucky that we've got one near us. So I'm just going to go in and give these to the girls. Put their pellets in a few different areas in the metal feeder, and then I scatter some around. They love to peck, they love to scratch. It's really good for them to do that. They also love to have a sort of dusty area to, you know, roll in and have a bit of a dust bath. So now it's time to pop my gloves on and clean out the coop. So for cleaning out the coop, I just pop some gloves on and take all the straw out, and then I will just use some of the straw, oh, we've got an egg, just to brush off the coop. Our girls love getting on the coop and pooing all over it. It's just what they do. I don't know if every flock does the same thing, but ours love sitting up here and yeah, being noisy. Anyway, we've got an egg, so I'll pop that safely over here. Lovely little bantam egg this morning. So with the coop completely clean, I'm going to go and empty that, and actually it's a really good fertilizer. So if you want to pop the chicken poop onto flower beds or maybe even strawberry beds or something like that, it's really, really fertile, lots of nutrients in there. So I'm going to go and empty that, get some fresh straw, and then pop that out in the coop. And then a couple of times a year I will wash the coop completely out. We, again, touch wood, haven't had a problem with red mite here. We did in our previous house, and I think it was just one of those things, but so far here we haven't had that problem. And if you do have red mite, then you've got to be really, really fastidious about keeping your coop clean. And actually, if it is a problem, then maybe having a plastic coop that can be, you know, hosed down frequently might be the thing for you to do. I think if you tend to get red mite, it's very difficult to get rid of it. It's just about managing it and keeping on top of it. But keeping your coop clean and changing the bedding frequently is really, really important. Hen hygiene, chicken hygiene. I call them hens because obviously we don't have a cockerel. Our neighbour has a cockerel probably here. The goats, the hens, all sorts of noise going on behind me. We're living on a farm, it's wonderful. There's lots of animals. Anyway, I'm going to go and empty this onto the muck heap and be back in a tickety-boo with some fresh bedding for them. So I've got some fresh straw for them. Our girls prefer straw to hay, so that is what I give them. I've given them a hay before and they've been like, no, we don't like this. They kicked it out of the coop. So they tell me what they like and what they don't like. And the reason why we just have hens and don't have a cockerel is because I'm not breeding them. We just have the hens for their eggs. If you want to breed, then you need a cockerel to fertilise your eggs, but for us it's easier just keeping hens without having a cockerel, and that works really well for us. It's what I've always done, and if I wanted to have chicks, I could speak to our neighbours next door. It works brilliantly. So I'm just going to put some fresh straw in the coop for them. And it's as simple as that. They've got fresh bedding, they're all done for another week. I tend to do it on a Sunday. It's one of my Sunday jobs that I just clean out the coop and then I just know it's done. And it's just really, I find it so much easier if I know that I do things on a certain day. Like if we're going to be away on the Sunday, then I'll do it on the Saturday. But it's easy for me to just be like, yep, then I know it's done and it's good for another week. But that is how I look after our hens, and I find it really easy. Now, a few people would have asked questions like, do we have a problem with rodents? We're really lucky. We have Penny and Florence. They keep all rodents at bay, which is perfect. And so we don't have a problem with rats, which we're lucky, but I do think that is down to having little dogs, and our next door neighbours have got a few cats as well, so that probably helps. But that is something to be mindful of when you are keeping hens and chickens. You know, they can attract rodents, and we're lucky that we've got our deterrents in place. Let me know as well if you've got any questions. Leave them in the comments down below and I can do a part 2 and I can answer all of your questions about keeping hens. We haven't ever kept ducks. We've only had hens because actually I'm not a huge fan of duck eggs, and nor is Simon. So they are great for baking, but we don't particularly enjoy eating them. But it is such a treat to be able to come out here and get fresh eggs and bake with them and eat them and enjoy using them. And it's just really lovely not having to buy supermarket eggs and have our own. And we've kept hens now for a long time. My mother always kept hens. I've grown up with it, and I just find them really easy to look after and just such a pleasure to have around the place as well. They've all got their own little personalities and character traits, and yeah, they're great fun. The children enjoy coming out and helping with them as well. And we've managed to train the dogs to keep well away from them too, which is even better. So in the evening I come and do the hens. It's now about 10 to 7, it's not getting dark until about 9, but I like to give them some mixed corn, and this is organic, and I just sprinkle it in a few different areas so they don't fight over it and everybody gets a little bit of corn. Florence has heard me talking. She has come over to see everybody as well. The dogs are really good with the hens. We've trained them, and so if the hens are free ranging in the garden, the dogs leave them in peace, which is excellent. But we have adjusted the electric fencing, and so far the hens aren't getting out, which is excellent. But let's go and give them their evening corn. I need to top their water up, but I've got this humongous egg. I don't know who has laid that, but it's almost certainly a double-yolker. And then I've got a bantam egg this evening, so that is what I've got. I'm intrigued to see what is inside that. I think it has to be a double-yolker, so we will crack that open. I've got Rosie now coming to see everybody. Anyway, I'm going to top up the hen's water and pop these inside. Oh, Rosie. Bless her, she's growing. She is growing at a rate of knots. And actually we give her once a day an egg mixed in with her kibble, and it's really good for her. She absolutely loves it. So that is a bit of a treat for a growing Labrador puppy. You love a bit of egg, don't you, Rosie Roo? Anyway, I'm going to fill up their water. So this may be a little controversial, but we don't shut our hens away at night. We let them take themselves to bed and let themselves out in the morning. You can get automatic gates to your coop, but because this area is electric fence, this netting here is all electric, we haven't had a problem with the fox since we have lived here. And as long as they're in this area, and actually when they free range in the garden, I think because of the dogs, they touch wood, touch a tree quickly. They have been safe here. And our girls are quite funny. A couple of them from our old house, the older ones, like to roost on the roof of the coop, because they had in their previous coop, it was actually a duck coop, and they always roosted on the roof of it, and they don't like to be shut away. I've tried it and it doesn't make them very happy. So we want to have happy hens, and that's just the way we do it. But it is common practice to shut your hens away at dusk and let them out first thing in the morning. But our girls do it themselves. And you've got to, when you're keeping hens, you've got to do what works for you, and it's what works for us, and they're happy. They've got this great area here. They can run around, and what's great about the electric fencing, one big positive to it, is I can change the shape of the area that they're in. They can have fresh bits of grass. So this, it's actually been unbelievably dry. The weather was a fresh patch that they had about 10 days ago when we moved the electric fence, but it's really easy for us to change the shape of it. And they also have time when they're free ranging around the garden, although they do tend to play havoc with the flower beds, so you have to be careful about that. But this is our area, and I've had so many questions about, Charlie, talk to us about how you keep your hens. And so this is what we do. We've got 3 hens, and then we've got 2 bantams down there. The bantams lay the little tiny eggs, and they're really lovely. And yeah, we love our hens, and it's just so lovely being able to come out here and collect fresh eggs. There are so many benefits to keeping hens that I can't really see a negative. I mean, I think you've got to be careful. You can get red mite, and actually at our old house we did have problems with red mite. Touch wood, again, here we haven't had any problems. We did have a problem with the hens escaping, but we seem to have got that under control as well, which is really excellent. And would I like to have a big fenced area? you know, high fence with a gate, maybe, but then you can't move that. And the good thing about this is it's flexible. We can move it so they can have a fresh bit of grass, and we can adjust it. You know, you can see where it was before. We've actually just brought it out and made it a little bit bigger for them. So there are pros and cons, and it's really about working out what works for you and how it works, you know, best to keep your hens. I find keeping hens really easy. I clean them out, just take the muck out on a daily basis, and then do a thorough clean once a week, and just use straw from the horses, and they actually prefer straw to hay, so that is what they have. Make sure that they have fresh water, and I feed them morning and evening. So in the morning I will show you my routine of what I do with them and talk you through it so you can see exactly, you know, start to finish. But I find keeping them really, really easy. If you're introducing new hens to your flock, never do one at a time. Always get 2 at a time at least, and they can bully one another. The white hen is a little bit of a bully. She can be a little bit mean, and so you've got to be a little bit mindful that they're not going to be isolated and bullied by an older, you know, queen of the pack, queen of the flock, I should say. But yeah, they can be a little bit mean to those bantams, so I keep a little bit of an eye, and you know, if they are, then I just separate them. Probably wondering what this is. This is my washing line, which runs its own place in the garden. We can put a washing line, so it's out here by the hens. So we run our electric fence off the mains with this this setup here, which we put in when we moved, and the electric fence has worked really, really well for us. We have used it for many years. I mean, probably, I don't know, at least 4 or 5 years, and it has worked brilliantly. There are a couple of people that are anti it and say the birds can get trapped in it and what have you, but we haven't had a problem. It's worked well. It's kept the foxes out, and it's kept our hens safe. And for me, that's really important. But I know that some people are anti it, but for me it's worked really well. And I'll leave the make of the electric fence that we have linked in the description of this video, because I find it really easy to use, really easy to set up, and really easy to adjust to give the flock a new patch of, you know, lawn or whatever. If you want to move them to a totally different area, it's really straightforward to do that with this type of fencing. They love sitting up here on the roof of the coop. Hence the chicken poo on the roof. So obviously the best thing about keeping hens is having their eggs, using their eggs, cooking their eggs, enjoying eating them, but also if I've got a surplus of eggs, I will put them in a box and give them to a friend. I bought these boxes online, can't even remember where from. I think I bought about 100 in one go, and I've still got lots left over. And then I've got a stamp, our own stamp, which I designed from the English Stamp Company. I love their stamps. They have the most amazing selection of stamps. And I'll say free range and fresh eggs from the Grays Girls. And I just think that's a really lovely gift for somebody, to give them a box of fresh eggs. So that I thought I would share with you, and I'll leave the English Stamp Company linked down below. But I've turned the Arga lid on, and I love a fried egg, but I love a fried Arga egg more than anything, because no oil, no fat, and no mess. I mean, what more do you want? So let's go over to the Arga, and we're going to cook that big, huge egg, which I think is a double yolker. We're going to cook that and enjoy it for breakfast. So So I'm using a piece of magic liner, or it's got a couple of names, Bako Glide or magic liner. I love this stuff. It's reusable, it's washable, it lasts for years, it's brilliant. Don't put it on the hot side of the agar, just on the cooler side. Obviously, if you don't have an agar, do this in a frying pan like you would normally fry an egg. Place it down and then literally crack your egg onto your magic liner. And yes, I was right. It's an enormous 2-yolker with quite a lot of white there. And then you just literally, because this is domed, you close the lid. I'm actually going to pop a little bit of salt and some pepper. Season my egg and then close the lid and let it cook. And while that is cooking, I'm going to put my sourdough on. I put some cherry tomatoes on a plate, and I've also got some pesto, homemade pesto. I actually ran out of pine nuts. The children are loving pesto at the moment. So this is pesto with pistachio nuts, and the children actually said it tastes really good, Mum. So I'm going to drizzle that over as well, which will be a really delicious breakfast and so easy. And literally you can just pop that bit of magic liner in the dishwasher, wash it up by hand. I can hang it out over here to dry, easy peasy, and I've got a huge, enormous egg to enjoy for breakfast. And then when you're happy with how your eggs are cooked, just using a slice, I'm actually going to just take that bit off. Don't burn yourself, but just using a slice, have a plate at the ready. There we are, a double yolker egg laid by the hens with some tomatoes, and then I've got my sourdough and some pesto. There we are, that is my perfect kind of breakfast. And then just a little bit of pesto, I'm just going to dollop it on the side there and enjoy that with my eggs, my sourdough and some vine tomatoes. So easy to cook an egg on the agar, and lots of people don't know that hack of closing the lid because the lids are domed. You can't do it on any other cooker, but that is one of the joys of having an agar and fresh eggs from our hens. So I really hope that you've enjoyed watching this week's how-to. And as I mentioned earlier, do let me know if you have got any questions about keeping hens. Let me know in the comments down below and I will do my best to answer them. In the meantime, have a super week, and I will see you on Friday with this week's vlog. And in the meantime, we're all sending love. Rosie, in fact, let me just show you Rosie and Florence have just come over. Here they are, they've come to say hello. Rosie is growing, her legs are getting so big, she's overshadowing little Florence. But anyway, I will see you all on Friday with this week's vlog, I hope. And in the meantime, yeah, have a super week.